Hello, and welcome back to the show. I'm a little busy today, so it might be a little difficult reading the poems and whatnot. So I'm going to give it a try. This one I'm going to give you today is called You Can Tell a Lot. You can tell a lot. You can tell a lot about a culture by the way its people act. You can tell a lot about a kingdom by the way its people act. You can tell a lot about a country by the way its people act. You can tell a lot about the government by the way its people act. You can tell a lot about a president by the way his people act. You can tell a lot about a governor by the way his people act. You can tell a lot about a mayor by the way his people act. You can tell a lot about a community by the way its people act. You can tell a lot about a neighborhood by the way its people act. You can tell a lot about a school by the way its children act. You can tell a lot about a principal by the way his children act. You can tell a lot about a teacher by the way his children act. You can tell a lot about a father by the way his children act. You can tell a lot about a religion by the way its people act. You can tell a lot about a church by the way its congregation acts. You can tell a lot about a leader by the way his people act. You can tell a lot about a preacher by the way his people act. And you can tell which God a person serves by the way the person acts. So that one right there is for our show today. And for those of you that listened in yesterday, you know we started a new series. His Name is My Name Too series. And that's the Black Community Reparations Initiative series. So we're going to go ahead and get on into it while I can. And we'll go through a couple of the things that happened during the discussions, of course. We have people that are quite interested in how they can start tracking the people in their family and doing their parental chart and maternal, their paternal chart and maternal chart. We have a lot of black organizations that have come on board to help people with these situations once and for all. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the preachers and the communities in today's show. When it comes to His Name is My Name Too. The question that we have for the discussion is, how many people in your community do you know who have the same last name? And we had a lot of people who had more common names, and they were saying there was a lot of people in their community, in their town, in their city, that have the same last name. And so, of course, we asked, are they all family? And, people's like, I don't know. We had a family reunion, and, there was a lot of people there, but you don't know who all is family, because a lot of people bring people, and girlfriends, boyfriends, but they tend to understand where we were going with this. You see somebody or you hear somebody with the same last name, and you should be wondering, is this family? How did me and this person get the same last name? Are they married to someone in my family, and I don't know, anything about it? Or are they a cousin, a brother, a sister? With this whole defect situation, we're going to talk about it in a couple of shows from now. you have siblings being sold away from each other in the de facto slave trade. And so they don't know that they are sister and brother. They don't know that, both sisters lost their children, that had the children taken by de facto. So there are cousins up in the de facto slave trade. So we asked them about their church, their mosque, their masjid, how many people up in there. And a mosque and a masjid, we're going to have to deal with in the next series with the Arab names, because a lot of them took on their Arab slave masters' names. But they still, many of them, or most of them that I've come across, did not do that legally. So they still carry their slave names to help them understand. I told them that if you, no matter what you call yourself or been calling yourself for 20 years as a Muslim, if you have not changed your name legally, then that means that when you are arrested, you are put down as, Joseph Collins, not, Mustafa Muhammad. So, the knowing that your last name is Collins originally, then you need to track the Collins family. And, you can also track your Muhammad family forward. That, if you've had a wife in the Islamic faith and children in the Islamic faith and grandchildren in the Islamic faith, you can track those forward, which is easy. But tracking your original name, Collins, backwards is the part of the chart that we are talking about. So you got a little something stirred up, because people started thinking about how many people in there, especially when you talk about the mega churches, how many people in those churches have the same last name. So, are they family? And you got talking to some of the college students and the teenagers, and how many people in their schools have the same last name. And have you ever looked in to see if you are family, sisters and brothers, sisters and sisters, brothers and brothers, or cousins and cousins? So, you have to, the reparations issue, you have to know who was sold to whom, who was taken by whom. And, the best way to do it is to track those names. And, of course, the biggest things we ask the people at work, are there any white people at work that have your same last name? And have you, ever wondered, how did this white person get the same last name as myself? And there were a couple of people that say, they wondered about it in the beginning, but they didn't pay too much attention to it. And so now that they're doing their chart, the biggest question was, how do I approach this white person to find out, what their relationship is to the name without, messing up stuff at work. I told them it's really not necessary. Once people know that you are doing the lineage chart, once they know that you are tracking the last name, then they too will have that question, that twinge, that, well, I wonder why she and I have the same last name. And they will actually, more than likely, come to you. It will take a minute, because they do have that fear, that embarrassment of, oh my gosh, what if I find out that my family owns her family? What do we do?